and welcome finally to my reaction to Vinland Saga Season 2 Episode 16 called Great Purpose. If you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you'll know that I didn't have electricity for 2 whole days. It went off like Monday, 11 a.m. and then it came back this morning around maybe a little while before 11, I'm not sure. But it was so frustrating not knowing why it's off, when it's coming back. The first night, I was prepared with candlelight and I was pretty chill. I thought to myself, you know what, I have time on my schedule. I'm just gonna move my stuff to tomorrow night. And then when it was still off the next day and then my internet wasn't working on my phone properly. It was like on off, but mostly off. It was just so much more frustrating and I got stressed out about things because I really wanted to keep to my schedule because next week or from Sunday I'm going to be on a short trip with my mom for her birthday, just from Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, I just wanted to be able to do as much as I can this week and it just felt really frustrating, but it's okay because today it's back and I'm going to watch it right now. And I'm so looking forward to finding out what have I missed because I've been trying to keep my eye off social media so that I don't get spoiled, but yeah. Oh, also I did my hair. I tried to get it like blonde at the front again because I really liked that from before. But it's a little bit too yellow, but I don't know, I don't mind it too much. It's nice. I'll see if I can get it lighter next time or something. Anyway, it took longer than you'd think just for this, but I'm just happy to be back to streaming. I mean, recording. And tomorrow's streaming. I'm streaming Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, just for those of you who are interested in my Twitch streams. Okay. Is that her? Is she... Huh? That means that he didn't take her with, so... Oh, goodness. I'm glad they believed that she didn't plan to... I don't know. Uh-oh.
ザルさんと共に生きるというなら、二人で逃げるしかない。それでもやるというなら、俺が力になります。
俺も力になります。二人いれば何か策があるかもしれない。
寝るな。今度アルネイズから目を離したら鼻をぶち折るぞ。
奴隷とは劣っているものがなるべくしてなるもの、適材適所だ。だがわしはそうは思わん。奴隷には運がなかった、それだけのこと。
手下やられたまんま泣き寝入りしてて、この先剣ぶら下げて歩けるかよ。
ならば剣など捨てればよい。この辺りのものでないことはわしにもわかる。わしの畑をくれてやろう。土を耕し、命を育ててみよう。わしはもう立って歩くことはできまい。お前も堅気になるには良い機会じゃろう。お前には聖書を読んでもらった借りがあるでな。
チェ、くだらねえこと言ってんじゃねえよ。こんな時に。
そこに誰かいます。
What I would give for someone to give me a farm right now. But I'll talk more about that maybe at the end of the video. Oh no. Oh no, it's gonna lure them away. Oh no. Oh my god. No. As much as I feel for the unluckiness that has befallen him, I don't want him. I mean, Garzar, as much as I understand that this is just an awful situation, and they're like, I don't know. I can't really fault him because when someone is enslaved and there's people trying to fight for him to keep being enslaved, even if they're just like random guys being paid to keep him enslaved, I can't say it's wrong for him to fight them and to kill them, like, because it was either that or he keeps being enslaved. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying they deserve to be killed either, but I'm not saying, like, I feel like, what would I have done in that same situation? What could he have done? Does he have any choice as a freaking slave? Like, I don't know. He didn't kill any innocent children and women. So my point is, like, it still seems to me, based on, like, it just feels like the self-defense. I'm not saying it's literally that. It's obviously maybe more complex than that, but it boils down to it for me, because it's when someone is coming at you with the intention to freaking rape or kill you, and you swing a freaking bat around and you hit his head and he dies. That's not, I don't know. It's maybe technically murder, but it's also self-defense. So, like, you have to take that in consideration, right? It's not just, well, you killed someone, so now you're going to jail, you're the bad guy. I don't think that it can just fall. So my point is, from our perspective, though, I'm speaking from my perspective in present time. From their perspective, well, he's enslaved, he should stay enslaved. But I'm not talking from their perspective. I'm talking from my perspective. If someone's enslaved, they deserve to fight for their freedom. They deserve to defend themselves and their freedom. So if people are coming at him with the intention to enslave or kill, and he fights and they die, I don't know if I can say that he murdered people. So I feel bad for him, of course, and I feel bad for Arnheid, and I feel also bad. I don't want our boys to put now their lives on the line, because they're so close. They're not actually close, though. They're not close, because now they can win their freedom back for serving their master well. But, like, now they're fighting for someone else's freedom in such a dangerous way. But it's what's, like, I get it. They want to do what's right, what they can do for her, because she deserves to be free with the person that she loves. So I know that they're doing what they can for her, and I feel like you can't really get more chivalrous than that. But at the same time, they're so close, but then they're not, because we know what's coming and who's coming to take everything. So it's not even, it's very complicated. And I just want everyone to be happy. But it's not possible if it's too difficult and complicated.
出た一気頼むぞエイナル
Why? Why? What's the plan? You're on foot. What do you think they're gonna do if they catch you?
左右に広がれ。それぞれ違う位置と視点で追跡しろ。
つまらん心配はいらん。それよりわしも荷車に乗せろ。人に見とがめられずに済む。とっくに巻き込まれておるわい。死の子の言わず、さっさと手を貸せ。
はいありがとうございます
He gonna die? Oh my god, what is your plan, Einar?
あの森の中じゃ馬は使えねえ。追いつけ。入れさせんだ。
生きてるいい手当てだ
どう見たって重傷者の走りじゃねえよな。やっぱ。雲、アナグマ、そのまま奴を追え。奴がガルザルだったらお前らの手には負えねえ。
馬車の用意はできてます他国へ出てしまえば客人たちも追うのが難しくなる
Oh god. Now he's gonna have to. But he won't. What happened to his horse? Oh god. What happened to his horse?
馬の足音がしなかった
That's why.
馬を降りて走ってきたのか
意識がねえのか。気配を感じねえわけだ。
トロフィーさん
言っておくぞトルフィン。おとなしくガルザルを渡せ。渡さなけりゃ切る。
なんとかして動きを封じればまだ逃げられる
But
剣をかいくぐって
やんのかトルフィン。純粋な人助けだ。お前には原稿振るう大義名分がある。向こうには向こうの大義名分があるだろうがな。ほれ目の前。
in this situation, I do understand if he doesn't want to fight and he wants to remain the pacifist, but I still stand by what I said before. Like, in this case, he has a good reason his men were killed. Garzar has a good reason he doesn't want to be a slave. Obviously. Like, this fight isn't even really between Garzar and Hebi, but it is only because Garzar had to kill the men that were employed to keep him enslaved, essentially. So that's why the fight's between them, but it's actually a... So, I understand the why in this case he would feel like, okay, I have a good reason, but he also has a good reason. But sometimes people don't have a good reason to fight. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes people just pillage villages and rape for fun or for glory. That's not a good reason. So my point still stands. I get his pacifism, but what's he gonna do if they build a new nation across the sea, but then people come to their nation and they're not there to talk, they're not there to bargain, they're not there to share resources. No, they want to pillage the village and rape the woman and get glory. Like, what if that's their reason? What do you do then? Do you run away? Do you keep running away to the ends of the earth until they chase you off it? Can you just never fight ever? I don't know. I don't think so. Because not everyone has a good reason to fight. And even if they have a good reason to fight, like, I need food, I need the land, I will kill you and take yours. Even if they have good reason, well, they need food and he has 10 children to feed. Is it a good enough reason? I don't know. What did it smack?
ぼけてて勝てる相手か？ 妙な構えだ。槍でも斧でもねえ。
The thing is, you don't have to kill him in order to help Garzar and Arnheid like he wants to. He doesn't have to kill him. He doesn't have any weapons that he could... I mean, you could always kill someone with your fist, but he's not planning to do that. So, I think he's still... Because what's the point in rolling over? Like, he has all these lives that he took that he wants to atone for. And it's not enough to just not kill. He actually wants to save people. So, if he has this desire to make right what he's done wrong, what he feels he's done wrong, there's no point in just rolling over. And but the thing is, I don't think Hebi would kill him if he lets him through. But he's doing here what he thinks is right by helping Arnheid. I love this because for a long time, for years now, I've had discussions where people keep trying to convince me, there's no right and wrong here. There's no right and wrong here. And I'm like, no, for me at least, there's a right and a wrong. I think it's wrong to kill innocent people. And the innocent people's being killed, so that's why I think it's wrong. In this case, this is the first time that I can remember that I feel like there's no right or wrong here. I don't know what to do. I don't know, like... And partly what makes this so good and what makes me feel that way is... And what's so brilliant about Vinland Saga is that it's so realistic. Like, it's based on true history, or inspired by true history as well, which is a thing that makes Attack on Titan also phenomenally great. But here, it's like, it's very small scale. It's like one guy versus one guy, or a few guys versus a few guys, or, you know, or things that is very much... I just want to say, this is what we have. This is to talk about, and we talk about it, okay? With Attack on Titan, which is where a lot of people have told me, like, oh, there's no right or wrong, there's no right or wrong. The difference there is not that it's worse or anything, it's just different. And why I think... Because with great power comes great responsibility. So just because, like, if your family was killed, it doesn't mean it gives you the right to kill families. Like, if innocent people were killed and you love them, that's of course wrong, but doesn't mean you have the right to kill innocent people. Like, not an eye for an eye. That's not no right and wrong. Like, there's more to it than that, I know, but to me, the moment that innocent people need to be killed to exact your revenge or to do what you want to do, then I can't be on board with it, and then it's wrong from my perspective. But this is the first time, like, we can talk about that a lot. It's more detailed, and I have been talking about it, like I said, for years, and I have hundreds of pages of notes dissecting my thoughts on this. And I'm not saying I'm objectively correct, I'm just explaining how I feel and what people have been trying to convince me for years. That is, there's no right or wrong here, there's no right or wrong here. And in this case, though, is the first time where I really feel like there's no right or wrong here. I don't know what to say or do or think, or what would I do? I don't know. And that's why when the line of, he has a good reason too, you have a good reason to fight, but so does he. That's the thing. There's no one is right. But you can, if you really want to, you can say that by being employed by a slave master and keeping slaves under their thumb, you are technically in the wrong, but it's difficult to argue that from their perspective, where it's almost part of life. Like, this is just how things are, and he's just being employed, and he also needs to feed his men. But do they really have to do that? I don't know. You could if you... But that's the problem here. Hebi might be wrong, but the slave master, the system is the most wrong. But how do you change this whole system that's almost natural to them? How is that system being kept in place? It's because of people like Hebi and everyone that turns a blind eye to how wrong it is to have slaves. They don't have the concept of right and wrong the way we do. I don't know why. I don't know how you can... It doesn't make sense to me how you could have slaves and think, yes, this is just life, this is normal. But to them, they're different. So it's difficult to argue. But at the very least, I want to give the story a 10 out of 10 because this is the first time in my life where I've had such a difficult time saying, well, clearly that is the right thing and clearly that is the wrong thing. Because usually it's very simple for me. Are innocent people being hurt? Well, then you're wrong. You shouldn't do that. Which is one of my favorite fairy tale scenes, or actually something that just stands out to me. I know a lot of people trash fairy tale because, oh, power, friendship, whatever, I don't care. I enjoy it. And one of my favorite scenes that at least stood out to me so much. It's such a... Visually, it wasn't good, but story-wise, it just really stayed with me. And spoiler alert, but it's not super spoilery, but it's spoilery because it happened. But I feel like it doesn't spoil the story is what I'm saying. So there's this bad guy and then a fairy tale mage. And then he's like this twisted, crazy person. He, I don't know, likes being bad and he's trying to force. There's two people, a grumpy old man, but innocent, in the village. And then a pregnant woman with a child. And then this bad guy is trying to force Lucy to choose, well, one of these two people have to die. Who? Choose. And he's trying to force her to choose by basically... So he's trying to make her murderer because she has no choice. One of them needs to die. So most people would be like, no, of course, the old guy killed the old guy. Because he's a grumpy old man. Most of his life is past him. In fact, a good older man would probably be like, yes, kill me, please. But this was a grumpy guy, so he wasn't saying that. But in a very essential way, in the very base, like, of course, if she said, oh my God, kill the old man, and then he kills the old man, we wouldn't blame her. We'd blame the person that put her in that position, the one who actually killed the man, the one who tried to force her to kill the man, the old guy. But the most right thing to do, even if it's not always a possible thing to do, but the most right thing in that position is neither of these people should die. Ideally, we would have the strength to stop the bad guy trying to enforce this choice on us. That's the ideal, because the right thing to do is no innocent person dies. So then, ideally, I want the strength to stop the one trying to force this bad thing. So I really like stories with regards to ethics, and I think that it's important to have these discussions, but it doesn't always turn out that way in real life. But once again, I'd like to bring back something I said a while back. When having these conversations, we should always take into account with great power comes great responsibility. If you have a great amount of power, I think as a society we can accept that you have more responsibility than the next person maybe. And whatever that great power is, whether it's money, you can't force someone to do something. Like, if your life is in danger, obviously the most right thing to do from our perspective would be, if you can reach out your hand and lift that person up, if you can do it, you should, right? There's actually another story, Seinfeld, the finale, spoiler alert, big spoiler, this is the finale where they see a guy getting mugged and then they're just like, but the other guy has like a gun, or he says he has a gun, and they're doing nothing. But they're not just doing nothing, they're kind of making fun of the guy getting mugged. So like, now there's an ethical, should they risk their lives? Because if this other guy has a gun, he could shoot them and they could get hurt trying to save someone. So is that really their responsibility? So you can talk about that, but at the very least, they shouldn't have been making fun of the guy, right? And if he didn't have a gun, then maybe they had more responsibility. But you can't say that lawfully, if you don't help that person, you're going to go to jail, which is kind of what ends up happening because they did make this new law where you have to help someone. But it's like, now you're forcing people. You can't do that either. So I'm not saying, when I'm saying with great power comes great responsibility, I'm not saying that anyone with superpowers, by law, whatever that superpower may be, has to become a superhero, has to put their lives on the line for others. So I'm not saying it in a lawful way, because what is right and wrong is not necessarily law. So for example, you can cheat on your wife, and I would say that's, or your husband, and I would say that's morally wrong. But I don't think you should go to jail for it. So this is kind of what makes ethical discussion so interesting. So what I'm saying is, the conversation changes once someone has a crazy amount of power. So that's something you should take into consideration. But in this situation, Hebi has more power than Thorfinn. But Hebi is being paid by a slave master to protect his interests. So from our perspective, if it comes down to looking back, who is right and wrong, obviously I would think Thorfinn is, I don't think Hebi deserves to be killed, but Thorfinn and Arnheid, and like, they deserve their freedom, and that's what they're going for here. But now, let's take away our perspective. Let's try and go there, go where they are. I still would want what they want, my own freedom, of course. But there's also smart decisions and not so smart decisions, and that's where I'm like getting stuck, because was any of this... You want to say, okay, no, it's not smart because they were so close to getting out. But Arnheid was never going to get out. Just Einar and Thorfinn might have been able to get out. Here, they have this opportunity to escape, all of them. So actually, to me, it boils down to they deserve their freedom. It might not be the smartest things to go up against Hebi but at the very least, they're not in the wrong for wanting freedom and wanting to escape. And at least the granddaddy guy, Oji-san, is there. But I want to commend the show and the story for just putting out this huge ethical conundrum for me to be able to look at and think, wow, it is so difficult, for the first time. I've talked myself to a point where now I believe, actually, if we're gonna have to choose a side, if we're gonna have to say this is right, this is wrong, like, you have to divide it, you have to make a decision. Because if you're a judge, you have to in the end say, okay, well, this is the judgment that I've made. Even if some people might not agree, that's why we talk. But I have come to the judgment. But this is talking from my perspective as a person in the future, not in this situation, but also slavery was ended because many people stood up and said, you know what, this is not right. So if even back then, people eventually, I don't know when in this place of the world, how did slavery end, I'm not sure. But people stood up and said, you know what, for whatever reason, we're not doing this anymore. And so those people would be the ones on the right side of history, right? So in this situation, the ones on the right side of history is Thorfinn wanting to help Arnheid and Garzar and Einar. It might not be the smartest, they might be putting their lives on the line, but they're trying to do what's right because those people deserve their freedom. They shouldn't be slaves, period. Hebi, even if he's not as wrong as a slave owner, although it should be taken into consideration, sure, out of all slave masters, yeah, he treated his slaves the best, but he still had slaves. And Hebi, although he didn't own slaves, he supported a system in which that keeps people like Thorfinn, people like Einar, people like Garzar and Arnheid under the thumb of slave masters. So he's on, even if he's not a horrible man, a vile, evil criminal, no. He is on the wrong side of history. At the very least, we can say that. whatever his, let's say aliens come down and be like, boom, we're freeing all the slaves, and now we're gonna punish the slave masters and those who supported the system. I don't know what punishment. I just think that Hebi is on the wrong side. Should he be punished? Maybe not, I don't know. I haven't thought that far. But at the very least in this situation, he should be unconscious and just so long enough so that they can get away, because that's what they deserve. In an ideal world, he should just, you know what? He should have taken the farm and accepted that, okay, his men were put in a position where they were supposed to stop someone from being free, and then they were killed. That's not great. That's not necessary. They didn't deserve to die, but he put them in the position where they had to keep a slave enslaved. So not that much different from a slave master that's trying to keep his slaves enslaved. The slave master couldn't keep his slaves enslaved by himself. He has people, he has a system helping him. That is where Hebi comes in, sadly. So my point is, if he could just accept that me and my men were doing something that we shouldn't have been doing. We tried to stand in the way of a man's freedom and he defended himself. My men died in the process. Maybe instead of perpetuating this whole system, he can learn from it. Except the Gigi was trying to freaking give him a whole land, an opportunity to change his life. But no, he didn't. Because it's not easy to change. It's not easy to just forgive and accept that your man died, maybe because of your own fault, because of what you are doing. But even if I think he's on the wrong side of history, I'm not saying that he should be punished. Like, sure, maybe he doesn't know better, but as an adult, that's not really an excuse. Like, the most basic thing you can ask yourself, do I want to be enslaved? No? Okay, then don't do it to others. It's not really that difficult. I mean, I know it's not that simple either, because how can you stand up against the whole system? You can't, but at least you don't have to add to it. You don't have to make it easier for the slave masters to enslave people, which is kind of what, well, Hippie does. So he's on the wrong side of history. At the very least, that's all I can say. And I want Thorfinn to get away, but I don't know what's gonna happen. But now, if they get away, that's kind of great. Okay, that's kind of great, because shit's gonna go down once the master comes back, and his crazy son, but his apparently smarter than I expected son, but still crazy, and then the other son, and then the king guy, the new king that killed his brother to be the bigger king, and he wants all the land. So like, just get out now. There's nothing waiting for you here. Even if you had a good slave master before, and you think that it's safer there in your little good slave master world, because that's probably where I'd be too scared to try anything. Like, if I had to be honest, I'll just be like, okay, I'm comfortable here, but I can only say that now. What if I was in Arnheid's position, and my husband, like, you want to escape, you want your freedom, and this is actually, they don't know it yet, but this is the best opportunity, because if they just get away, and then this whole farm, this whole place, everything is gonna be up in shit, because the king decided it, and he can. He doesn't have to care about what's right and wrong. He just can. And you know what? It's like, it's difficult to, when I think about all these things, it's difficult to, you know, because in a world where you can just enslave people because you can, because then, well, if your king just wants to enslave you and take what's yours, he can. Because you did it, he can. You had the power, so you enslaved people. Now he has power and he wants to take your stuff. That's the system you used, you benefited from. So the problem is, because a lot of people try and say the same thing, like, I don't want to make it now too, I like that it's based on history and stuff. But now let's say this farm, let's say Ketil in here, was Ketil the dad, the good slave master guy, and then his father was in this episode. So let's say he inherited from his father, and his father, or let's say his grandfather had slaves, and then his father took all the slaves away. He didn't want to deal with that, and then now Kettle inherited the farm, and he's providing for hundreds of people work, but not slavery. So now, if the king took that farm, I wouldn't be on board with it, because that grandson had nothing to do with the great-grandfather's crimes. But now, if you do find yourself, okay, I have inherited this, then, like I said, with great power comes great responsibility. So now he is providing for hundreds of people jobs, food, like that should be taken into consideration. Now, the king wants to come just take that because he thinks that he can do better with it. I think if he can do so, he can't just take it and be like, fuck you, fuck the people you're providing for, I'm going to provide for more people. I'm going to use your farm just because I'm going to take it just because I can. That's not... I can feel more sympathy, even although I can feel sympathy for Kettle because he's the nicest slave master out there, and now this bad thing is happening to him because of his stupid sons. I think that the best in that situation for the king would have been to speak to the land, to Kettle, if he let's say he didn't, even though he did have slaves though, but it would have been better to do things this way. Just speak to him. Doesn't he want to drive out all slavery? That's his final goal, right? The king. He doesn't want slaves. He doesn't want any bad shit. Okay, but it's rules for others, but not for him. So he can do things the wrong way, but other people are not allowed to. It's very complicated. But bottom line for me is, if someone didn't do something bad, if someone didn't partake in a bad action, you can't treat them badly just because, like, let's say Thorfinn was treated badly as a slave, or Gardar was treated badly as a slave. Now he can enslave Kettle's family because, well, they did it to him. Like, that's not right either. If you want to stop bad things from happening in the future, you have to stop the bad things perpetuating now. Like, don't perpetuate this. You know this was bad in the past. You know it wasn't fair to you. So don't do it to others, because that's just not the right way to go about it. But it's such a complicated conversation. You know what's not complicated though? Don't do to others what you don't want done to yourself. I know that's a little bit too simplified, but because what some people do want to be choked and other people don't. So it doesn't mean you can go around choking people just because you want to be choked. No. I know you can, but on a more basic level, just don't steal someone's farm. Don't enslave someone, because you don't want anyone to steal your stuff. You don't want to be enslaved yourself, so don't do it to others. Come now. Like, that is not difficult. So that's what I end on. 10 out of 10 for the story, and I don't care about the rest. Thank you for watching and hearing my rambling and sitting through my yellow hair. I'll fix it eventually next month. Bye.